What happens when you spend 3 days awake with Robbie Williams talking about life? According to Jon McClure from Reverend and the Makers, you end up writing a song called Messed Up. On this episode of the Marshy Cast, Jon joins me to talk about the band's new single with Robbie Williams and their 8th studio album, Is This How Happiness Feels? We also look back at the last time we spoke when Jon wasn't exactly thrilled with radio stations choosing pop music over what he called real music, and how his views have mellowed over time. Plus, we chat mental health, why he relates to what Professor Green has to say, and what fans can expect from the festival shows this summer. It's Paul Marsh, and I'm delighted to say that I've been joined by Jon McClure from Reverend and the Makers. Jon, how are you, sir?
I am extremely tired because I'm working non-stop promoting this album, but other than that, I'm great.
Well, look, the last time we spoke was around about 12 years ago. You came to Portsmouth in the studios and you played Wrestler live for us. I remember you were talking about at the time you were talking about your frustrations with radio, saying that a certain radio station was leaning far too heavily on manufactured pop. Fast forward 12 years, your new album is getting loads of radio love. So what's your relationship like with radio these days?
Better. I mean, there's often a thing when a musician or an artist is criticising something, it's often born of your own unhappiness in it. And I think there were an element to which when I'm slagging off this, that or the other, I think it's to do with the fact that I'm probably in quite a bad headspace myself, being really honest, Paul. I'm now obviously older. I don't want to say wiser, but hopefully in a better mental place where I'm probably not going to be slagging everybody off, which I always think always helps, doesn't it?
Well, I think you're probably right, but I also do think that even though you may have not been in the right headspace, I think you probably had a point. But I think it's funny how life goes like this. I think we've got two generations right now. We've got like the TikTok generation, which is, 30-second, 2-minute songs, little silly bits and pieces. But then out of that, I think people are rebelling against that. And I think we've got a lot of real music coming back.
Yeah, look, is there an element to which my generation are the last of something, probably? Are we is popular music in the best place ever? Probably not. Are the charts clogged up with heritage artists and greatest hits and reissues? Yeah, we're the highest entry on the chart, but are fighting against 3 Michael Jackson albums and a Westlife greatest hits. So are there going to be problems therein? Yes. Have we sort of sacrificed experimentalism and boundary pushing at the kind of altar of commercialism? Probably. But are there still loads of great musicians, and is there loads of still great music out there? Yeah. So it's a mixed picture, right? And what you don't want to be is an old man railing against the dying of the light. But there is probably an element to which, popular music as an art form is challenged by kind of the internet, right? People don't buy records. AI's on the march. So it's difficult. But equally, I think people like myself and others, are we sort of preserving some sort of old and noble art form? There's a bit of that, isn't there? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I completely agree with you, mate. I really, really do. And I think more for it. I'm here for it. I mean, as we currently speak, our current track of the week is the new Rolling Stones song. And I just think if people are releasing good music, I don't care who's releasing it, how old they are, what they've done before. Good music is good music.
Yeah, and that should be the sort of only metric. It shouldn't be about what followers you've got or any of that stuff. It should just be about the songs. And I think there will slowly be a reappraisal, like there is with everything, right? Things come, things go. People reappraise what's as worth. And I think what I bring as an artist is a unique POV, right? My lived experience, my lyrics, they come from my head and my heart. And I don't think any computer or commercial thing can ever replace that, really, or supplement that. And I will probably do this till the day I die as a result. So, hopefully we pass on this tradition. You know, there's Joe Cocker in this city, Sheffield, where I live, and his generation probably passed on things to the likes of Richard Hawley, who in turn mentor me, and I will try to do the same to the next generation. You know, that's how we do it. Certainly in a city like Sheffield, it's very much a tradition.
Yeah.
And we hope to pass that on to next generation. My kids are learning instruments and taking up music. Let's see. And equally, you know, let's not be down on the youth. TikTok's their method of expression. And I think within reason, lean into it, right?
Yeah, I completely agree. Let's talk about the new single. It's called Messed Up. Okay, it's called Messed Up. Let's get that right for the radio. It's featuring Robbie Williams. I didn't have Robbie Williams featuring on a Reverend and the Makers track on my 2026 bingo card.
No, random collaboration. Rob texted me, started FaceTiming, got on like an house on fire, invited me to his house in Switzerland, went out and saw him, got on like an house on fire there, stayed up for 3 days yakking. Obviously, Robbie's completed the hedonism thing, as largely have I. So stayed up for 3 days in a very hot house where his wife insists on having the central heating on all the time. He had the big light on like he's permanently doing a crossword. Stayed up for a long time, talked each other's heads off, agreed to do a song. And here it is. Now, obviously, Messed Up is the radio title. The real title begins with an F and rhymes with a duck. You can draw your own conclusions what that word is. But for the purposes of radio, it should be called Messed Up.
So, after spending time with him, was there anything that surprised you? Because I think we've seen the film, Robbie's done a million interviews. Is there a difference between superstar Robbie or bloke at home Robbie?
Exactly the same person.
Yeah.
Like, just a thoroughly lovely human and incredibly well adjusted to say what a insane life he's had. Yeah. Just a really lovely person, a nice person, a caring person, and as interested as he is interesting.
It's funny because when you listen to the song and you think about certainly Robbie's career and obviously the early part of it with Guy Chambers and then what he's created in the last 10, 15 years, however long it's been, your sounds, I wouldn't say, are a million miles away from each other. So when you listen to that song, it doesn't sound out of the ordinary for either of you. It just fits and it really, really works.
I think what Robbie has got is he's got a confessional honesty, which at the time that he was doing that, I can't really remember many artists ever being like that. Maybe John Lennon, weirdly, was the only other one who historically, I'm going to be so honest that it becomes almost uncomfortable.
Yeah.
And Robbie's he's just so honest. And I've always had that. I tell the truth. And maybe it's an ADHD thing because you look back and you think, Robbie's ADHD, I'm ADHD. Were John Lennon ADHD? Very probably. Very probably.
Yeah.
I'm going to overshare, right? I'm going to tell you everything about me. And when that is channeled into creativity, it can be amazing. And that's certainly Robbie, I think, Robbie's superpower. You know, you think of some of his big hits and they're very sort of confessional, right? And I wax and wane with pop music. I have made some weird music and some political music, and I've made some really catchy music, right? And I've, last few years, fell in love with the pop song again. Because some of the best music in the world is pop music, right? And Rob is one of our best ever cultural exports as a pop star, right? Yeah. So we're meeting, as you say, on familiar territory. There are differences between us as artists, obviously, but we're meeting on common ground. And it was wonderful, and that common ground ended up being a quarry in the Moroccan countryside where we filmed the video, which was as random as it was beautiful.
Did you find, I know you've had different lives, but like you say, the fact that you were up for 3 days chatting, found that you obviously got on so well when it came to putting pen to paper and writing a song, that you were on the same page?
Yeah, I mean, look, we've both been thrust onto roller coasters. Robbie's was a lot larger than mine, but we've both been thrust onto roller coasters and unsure of how to get off. And at some point or another, that roller coaster has thrown us off onto our arse, and we've not known kind of up from down, really. And there's an element to which we're the lucky ones because we have been able to. There's a line in the song, and it says. Afforded to them who know they can't deal with it on their own. Robbie and I have the gift of self-awareness, or the curse of self-awareness, depending on your perspective. Some people don't have that and never came off the roller coaster, and some of them died, some of them ended up with drug problems, mental health problems, you know what I mean? So Robbie and I are lucky in that because there's no other industry in the world in which you would be encouraged to be an hedonist.
No. In
the way that you are in music, right?
Yeah.
It's almost like you're not cool unless you do certain things. And
yeah.
You can't imagine that in banking, can you? Or sport, or...
Do you know what? So I literally just interviewed Professor Green talking about alcoholism, and he was saying the exact same thing. It's like you're not rock and roll unless you're down in a bottle of Jack before you go on stage.
He followed me over there and he liked the song with me and Rob, Professor Green. So I wonder whether he's another one, right, who has a bunch of shared experience. So I'd like to talk to him. Because I follow him on social media, and he's very open about the fact that he kind of broke into a million pieces, right? And he's having to put it all back together.
Yeah.
And I like people like that. I like Lily Allen for that. I look at what Lily's achieved, and it kind of the wheels very much came off Lily's bust, didn't they, at one point? And she's put it back together in a spectacular way. She looks and sounds amazing, and went to see her on a recent tour, and it was wonderful. And I admire them people, right? And there's an element to which Robbie probably a bit earlier than us, but Pro Green, Lily and me, we're all from a similar era, right? That 90s thing was so hedonistic. Like, I think people always think of the 60s as the hedonistic decade, but they weren't. You're talking about 200 actors and actresses and musicians in the 60s. In the 90s and the noughties, everyone were doing it, right? You were kind of wild, right? Doing everything to excess. And that's a lot of us are sort of reeling, all got bloody, I'm swearing, can't swear, can I? All got PTSD from it, really, because it were a bit of an intense time. And you think about people like Amy Winehouse and others who we knew, and people who never came back from that. So it's a bit like a sort of war veteran or something sometimes.
Yeah. Yeah, no, I mean, like, there's a lot of people that will listen to that and go, oh, you're being extreme. I was there, and I've seen it happen, and I've seen it happen to people, so I think you are absolutely bang on with that one. I want to talk about the rest of it, if that's okay. You mentioned earlier about sort of leaning back into the pop thing. Haircut. Oh my God, is that not the perfect pop song? Where was the spark behind that? It feels like it's a 60s soul track.
We're just at my mate Danny's house in Wales, who's my collaborator and producer. And unusually, Danny's normally better with the melodies and I do the words, but it was a bit the other way around, that one. And it's just super catchy, right? And every little kid I know adores that song. So it speaks to how catchy it is, because it's almost sort of nursery rhyme. It gets stuck in your head, right? You can't get it out. And obviously I have Vicky McClure singing on it, which was, I think, great for her because she's obviously a very accomplished actress, so adding another string to her bow. And kicks off the album, lets people know how we mean to go on, really.
Yeah, does it ever. And then UFO, which still kind of retains that soul sort of vibe, but in a different way, in like a dreamy and strange way, but still feeling quite grounded at the same time as well. We played that loads.
Yeah, like to be dreamy, like to be strange. I think most of the records, various iterations of the soul pocket, right, which is my dad's favourite style of music. My dad died during the making of this album, which was a kind of quite an intense period, and he's always part of the reason it's taken so long to complete. But soul music's very much encoded within my family's DNA, and also within the DNA of Sheffield, because it's a big zone in Sheffield, soul music.
I think when I think about, and I mentioned earlier that, the last time we spoke properly was 12 years ago, and I think about, am I right in saying this is your 8th album?
8th album, hopefully on target for being our most highest charting one. Played our biggest gig ever this last year, so it's in some ways the best time ever for the band. I'm doing the Steve Bracknell thing with my brother, which is a phenomenal success on the BBC, and obviously now I'm the chairman of the world's oldest football club. So it's been a good time in my life the last few years, career-wise. Things are headed in a great direction, and long may it continue. And I think musically, I feel like more accomplished than ever. I feel like I've made some of my best work, these last 2 albums. Feeling good.
Yeah, I agree. Well, so when you go out and play live shows, I know obviously your own tour is very different to a festival show. When you do your tour, I'm assuming you're going to get a lot of the new stuff and a handful of the hits. But when you do a festival show, over your last 8 albums, it's so varied, like the music you've made. How do you nail that set when you let's say you've got a slot and you get to do 6 or 7 songs. How do you nail that?
There's only one barometer. What's going to make the biggest party? Because I don't want to go to a festival and be... I used to do it. I used to lecture people about politics or try and be all serious or arty. I don't want to know about any of that stuff at a festival. I'm like, right, bangers out, let's go. Big party, whoosh.
Well, Jon, just to finish up, if you could sum up the new album, is this how happiness feels, how would you do it?
Blasting.
Love it. Love it. Absolutely brilliant. Well, look, Jon, I've already said this. We've been playing so many of the singles. I've been listening to the album. It's absolutely fantastic. Congratulations on everything. It's so good to talk to you again. Best of luck with everything.
Legend. Thanks, bro. Take care, Paul.